Thank you, Liz. And I want to thank Nicole, too, who have been my partners in crime and allowing me to come and connect with so many USO spouses, military spouses across the world. And we love this program over at Homemade. We always look forward to it, so it's a total blessing to be here. And like I always say, especially with Thanksgiving, we wouldn't have the opportunity to sit down with our loved ones, with our families and our friends, if we weren't protected, if we didn't live in a country where we could have the liberty to do that. And it's because of you guys, because of your spouses, and the servicemen and women who are protecting us that we have that opportunity. So it's a true pleasure to be here, and thank you for everything that you guys do for our country. I don't know what we were thinking Thanksgiving in an hour. It's like Thanksgiving in 50 minutes, but we're going to do it. You're going to feel like there's a lot of things going on. There's not. This is so easy. You can rock this out. If it takes you a little bit more than an hour, okay, it's Thanksgiving in an hour and a half. That's still way shorter than any other Thanksgiving you've got. So don't feel like you have to hit the hour mark, but we are going to get this done in the next 50 minutes. You're going to have a beautiful plate of crispy, gorgeous turkey. We're going to have mashed sweet potatoes with some maple and chili and garlic, which is going to be stunning. And then we've got these fish sauce. I know that seems weird. Crispy Brussels sprouts. So you'll have kind of three. You'll have your veg, you'll have your carbs, you'll have your turkey. So you will feel Thanksgiving on a plate. And like Liz said, at any time if you have questions, that's what this is all about. We're in the kitchen together, even though we're virtually and stationed all over the world. We have Heather here at Homemade, who's in our chat. She's another chef. If you have questions about a step or about a replacement or anything at all, at any time, please feel free to hit her up. Oh, gosh, someone just said that they're in Hawaii. They're stationed. Kiana's in Hawaii. I'm jelly. I'm so jelly. All right. Let's get going. So step one, like Liz said, if you are cooking with us, let's preheat your oven to 425 degrees. So that is step one, 425 degrees Fahrenheit. For those of you in Europe, we'll look up Celsius. I don't know what it is. Next up, does everyone have a big nonstick pan? Everyone get a big nonstick pan and slap that on a medium-high heat. So I would say like a 6 out of 10. All right? So kind of just think about where that would be and just let that pan start heating up. Cool? Now, there is no way, right, unless I was a magician, to rock out a full turkey in under an hour. But the reality is the full turkey is kind of becoming a thing of the past. I'll tell you why. First of all, you can raise your hand physically or just pretend. Who's ever had dry turkey in their life? Everybody? And the reason why is because turkey looks like an alien, you guys. It's got a fat middle part. It's got legs sticking out. It is so uneven to cook. So to roast a whole turkey, it's really hard to cook it so it doesn't dry out. Even if you brine it, it's still really difficult. So to break it up into pieces like what we're doing today, we're using the thighs, is really smart. Thighs are really economical, so they're pretty cheap to buy. They also have a decent amount of fat, which means they'll stay juicy, and they cook really, really fast. If you don't like dark meat, you can do this exact same recipe with white meat, like with the breasts of the turkey. You just ask your grocery store or butcher to cut off the breasts of the turkey, and you can do this exact same thing. It takes a little bit longer, but that's cool. So, first things first is we have these thighs, which just look like giant chicken thighs, right? And there is a bone in here. And so, first thing we want to do, this is the hardest part of today's lesson, is we want to get rid of the bone. It's really easy. Any knife will work, but I like, if you have this flexible knife in your knife kit, try and go find this. It's called a boning knife, and it just makes it easier, and it's probably really sharp because you never use it. And so what I want you to do is, I want to start by cutting on the bone, literally just slicing, just using your knife and cutting on the bone. And what we're going to kind of do is start to kind of pull the meat back. Now we're taking the bone out so it cooks faster, but also so it's a lot easier to carve. So I'm just kind of like taking my knife and going around the bone, just using the tip of the knife. And I'm going to show you guys some different angles so you can really see here. But see, here's the bone right here. And I'm just kind of like getting around it. And by the way, you can totally ask your butcher or your grocery store to do this part for you. Totally fine. Now, even if you're not comfortable doing this part, you can just cut, and I'll do this today just so we're all on the same page. You can just cut around the bone. So you have these kind of sides of turkey thighs. But we want boneless, skin-on turkey thighs. So here's the bone. You can save this for stock. I'm going to do it one more time here. So I find the bone. I cut literally on the bone. So it starts to kind of expose the bone, and then I just cut around it. Cool? The trick is, again, you want skin on and boneless. So if you really don't want to do this step, just go and ask someone to do it for you. They will do it for you in a heartbeat. Cool. So I have skin on, boneless turkey thighs. And the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to salt and pepper these guys. So grab some salt and pepper, and enough where you can really see a crust over the top. So I'm starting with some pepper, then I got some salt, and I'm just sprinkling over the top. And you can only just start with the skin side. Cool? Grab a little bit of olive oil or vegetable oil, like a tablespoon. Put it in your pan that's been preheating. And let's grab some tongs and lay our turkey thighs skin side down in the pan. You should hear a nice soft sizzle. And the skin is going to start to get really crispy. At this point, once those are in, you can season the other side, salt and pepper. All right? So, pretty simple so far. I want to pause, because I guarantee you that was the hardest part of today's lesson. Questions, thoughts, concerns? What do we got? Talk to me. We cool? Maribel, Meg, Kristen, Lori Spencer, Alana? We're all good, peeps? Is it Shayna? I love your little puppy. Aww. So cute. All right, cool. So the skin is crisping up. It's doing its thing. Now we're going to make a little rub for our turkey. And we're going to put this on right before the turkey goes in the oven. So we're getting it crispy in the pan, but it's going to finish off in the oven. Cool? So for this rub, I asked you guys to grab some thyme, fresh thyme, some sage, some honey, and some mustard. Now, I know a lot of people are stationed in places where you might not be able to find fresh herbs. You can use dry herbs for this. Or if all you can find is one, like sage or thyme, that's cool too. Rosemary works great, if that's what you can find as well. So this couldn't be any easier. We're going to grab a little bit of honey, about a tablespoon of honey, and we're going to mix it with about a tablespoon of mustard. And I'm just using a brush here, but you can use a little spoon or something like that. And then I'm just going to take my herbs, and I'm going to strip the thyme off the stem. So I'll show you what that looks like. Here's the thyme. I'm literally going to hold it from the top, take the little leaves off. Just like that. We don't want the stem, just the little leaves. So about a teaspoon of thyme and about the same amount of sage. And we're just going to chop this up as fine as you can chop it. So gather them all on your board, grab a knife, and just start going to town. Now, right when you start cutting these herbs, you're going to start smelling Thanksgiving. The sage, the thyme, it just really brings in the holidays. So this is like those aromatics that you really, it's great to find because it just feels like fall. It feels like comfort. Feels all the good feels. Cool, so I'm chopping this up really fine. You guys can see that. I just put my hand on the board and just rock it through those herbs. Beautiful, and then I'm just going to put those herbs into my honey mustard mixture and just mix it through. And if you don't have a brush, again, a spoon totally works. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil to this just to thin it out, about a teaspoon. And you have like this glaze. that we're just putting to the side. So again, honey, mustard, herbs, and a splash of olive oil. All right, team. I'm not hearing from you. Are we good? Is it smelling good already? Like, Liz, how's it smelling? Good?
Put myself on mute because it's sizzling so loud.
Yes. Good. Good, good, good. Sharon, are you cooking or are you watching? You're just drooling? I love it. Good. I expect some USO, quick, beautiful Thanksgivings happening together, some Friendsgivings, whatever's happening. So I'm just going to check. Our turkey needs a little bit longer to get crispy. You guys can look at your thighs. I'm just going to show you what mine look like real quick. You know, looking golden brown, but could use a little bit more time. So I'm just leaving them on one side. And while that's happening, and they're getting really beautiful, we're going to work on our next dish. So I'm going to put my little glaze to the side, and I asked everyone to get sweet potatoes. Now, if you're not into sweet potatoes, I get it. My family actually doesn't love them. I love them. But if you want to just go with normal potatoes, totally cool. We're going to mash these up, and what makes these mashed sweet potatoes special, besides the fact that there's chili and garlic and all these yummies in it, is that we're actually going to use the turkey drippings and the fat to mash it. So no cream, no butter. The turkey is what flavors these potatoes. So I leave the skin on because I don't like to waste anything. But if you do not like the skin on your mashed potatoes, this is a great time to peel your potatoes. But what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to take these puppies and I'm just going to cut them in half lengthwise like this so they sit flat. Really easy. And I would say about a half a potato per person, just so you guys know how much to buy. And then I cut those in half, and I'm just going to cut these into little bite-sized pieces, almost like little roasted potato size. So I'll do it again so you guys see. Cut it in half. And the key is try and get most of them around the same size, just so they cook at the same amount of time. Cut it in half. And remember, these are getting mashed, so don't worry about them looking pretty, anything like that. They just got to be cut evenly so they can all cook around the same amount of time. This looks really good. Oh, yes, it's smelling like Thanksgiving. I love it. Okay. How we doing? Everyone cool so far? Love you guys. Now, does everyone have a sheet tray like this? Probably bigger than mine. I'm using like a little baby oven. Just any sheet tray will work with sides. You've probably made cookies on them, things like that. So I want to start by taking our sweet potatoes and putting it on the sheet tray, just like this. All right, so all the sweet potatoes right on that sheet tray. Kind of spread them out. If your sheet tray is too small or you have too many potatoes, get another sheet tray. You want them so that they kind of sit, they have their own little spot to sit in. See how it's not overly crowded? It's good right there. That looks great. And then, nope, not at all. We're going to get to that. Not at all. Yep, these aren't going to stick. And now, to your point, Liz, we're going to add a little bit of olive oil, about a tablespoon, over those potatoes. And this is where these potatoes start to flourish. So we're going to add some really good yummies to this. First, tablespoon and a half of maple syrup. So add that right in. No need to mix this in yet. Just kind of get it going. And then I've got some chili flakes. Like this is like what you put on your pizza. All right, now here's the deal. 1 pinch, you kind of taste spice. 2 pinch, you'll get a tickle. Anything above 3, it's going to be spicy. So I'm going to go 3. That's about right for me. Totally up to you how much you want to add. And then last but not least, I want to add some garlic. So I'm literally going to take some garlic cloves. You can peel them, but I'm just going to smash 2 and chop these up nice and fine and put them in with my potatoes. Oh, and at this point, I know you guys are kind of watching my screen, but check out these turkey. Look how crispy these look. That's what we're talking about. Look at that. This is going to be juicy, crispy skin, unlike any turkey you've ever had. This is going to be turkey that you're going to be dreaming about. Oh. Thanksgiving for us is always, I mean, ever since I started cooking professionally, my family has been, Joel, you have to cook the Thanksgiving. And it's like, everyone has a different preference. Some people like white meat. Some people like dark meat. Some people like sweet potatoes. Some people don't. And it's like always just such a pain in the neck for me because I've got a big family and everyone has such specific instructions. And what I've learned is if you keep things really simple, everyone's happy. But when you try and satisfy everyone, it's a disaster. Also, in the very beginning of my chef career, I was trying to be way too fancy. I put like beets on the menu. I got like shunned for a couple of years. All right. You did the same thing, Heather? That's funny. Yeah, young chefs, we always overdo it. All right. So I added my garlic, my chili, my honey to these potatoes, and then I'm going to season it with some salt and pepper. Big pinch of salt, good cracks of black pep, and I want you to grab the best tools you have in the kitchen in your hands, and I want you to massage the honey, the garlic, everything, the salt, into those potatoes. Oh, and it already smells crazy good, like crazy good. But this is a big moment, you guys. Don't skip this part. Really take the time to toss through everything. This is where people mess up. They kind of rush this part, and some parts get garlic, some parts get chili. You really want to just take the time and mix this. This looks great. Cool. And now we're going to add a zinger. Some chicken stock. You can use vegetable stock. You can use a splash of water for all I care. But about a half a cup goes in over these potatoes. And that's going to help steam them and make them nice and soft. Cool. So at this point, I flipped the turkey, but I mean, I just want you guys to see what's going on here. They're still pink. You guys can see raw turkey here. So they're not cooked through, right? It's still raw in the middle, just crispy on the outside. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place them skin side up over these potatoes, right on top. I'm going to turn off the heat to my stove, kind of just place these turkeys around. And this is the genius of this recipe, is the turkey is going to roast on top of those potatoes and just drip all of its beautiful juices, all of its fat over those potatoes, making the most delicious mashed sweet potatoes of your life. It's going to be amazing. And don't forget, we have that beautiful kind of herby glaze. So what I want to do now is I want to take my brush and I want to just brush the skins with that mustard, sage, and honey mixture. So good. Look at that. So take your time here, guys. I know a lot of people are more watching because I'm sure this will be your Thanksgiving. But, I mean, we're almost done with the turkey and the mashed potatoes. And I totally get, you know, this is probably enough for like 4 people that I'm cooking. So it might take you a little longer to cook for like 10 people or 8 people or however many in your Thanksgiving, but it's still so easy. We've literally almost got 2 things done out of 3. How are we all doing? I'm going to wash my hands real quick. Any questions about anything so far? I'd love to hear. I'm going to pop this in the oven, by the way. So once you've smeared the turkey skin with all of your glaze, this is what it looks like. I mean, look at that. Woo! Smells incredible. So once you've smeared it, I want you to pop it into the oven. Again, 425 degrees. It's going to go for about 30 minutes or so. I'd love to hear some Thanksgiving. Like, what do you guys do for Thanksgiving when you're stationed out outside the U.S. or in a place that's not home? What does Thanksgiving look like for a military spouse? I'm curious. Anyone willing to share? What's that?
Share.
Yeah.
This is Laura from Stuttgart. We travel on Thanksgiving.
so smart.
We're going to Bruges to meet some friends in Bruges for Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh, that is so fun. Is Thanksgiving a big deal over in Europe? Like, are they? Do they? No, it's not like they're. Yeah, that's so smart.
It's not a big deal. It's more like
I love it. Oh, that's so cool. Those are the memories that you'll remember forever. What else? I would love to hear other people's stories.
In the past, we've gone and served, my husband and I, will go and serve Thanksgiving at the USO. When we know there's a USO with a lot of young, single, active duty members, we've gone and served them a Thanksgiving meal, and that's sometimes more fun than anything. And we've brought friends along with us, and then maybe we'll go get dessert later or something, but we did that when we were in Japan a couple different times. And then I echo Laura, traveling, for sure. We traveled a couple different years on Thanksgiving.
That is so cool, Liz, and not surprising knowing you. What else?
Like overseas. Sorry. My husband, he's a military police officer, so often he would work or like his friends would be working, and so we kind of had a revolving door where I'd make this big meal and we'd make to-go plates, and each of the MPs on shift would like drive by our house and like bring them out a plate so that they could enjoy their Thanksgiving. And we tried to do that in the States, but people aren't as friendsgiving.
Oh, that's so nice, Alana. I love hearing these. Who else is willing to share?
This year we are far away from family, so we're going to meet up with another military family in the mountains and just make Thanksgiving together. So we did the same thing when we were overseas, and it was really cool because everybody brought their family specialty.
Yeah.
So just to try different things like gumbo and all
Ooh.
the fun stuff that we didn't make growing up in Ohio. So it was fun.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love when people bring like their family things to the table. Although everyone here has got to bring one of these recipes to the table because all three of these, whether it's the turkey, the mashed potatoes, or the Brussels sprouts, kick butt. So we're going to go back to the kitchen here, and I do want to hear more stories in a little bit. And we had some questions that I'll make sure that I'll hit up, but we do have our veggie side. So at this point, just to recap, turkey's roasting. It's on a bed of beautiful sweet potatoes. It's just flavoring those potatoes with all of its love. But we still have this pan that we cooked the turkey in. And you can see in the pan, there's all the turkey little drippings, which normally gets turned into like a gravy. But we're going to put this into our Brussels sprouts, which makes it so deep and rich in flavor. So what I want to do is, first and foremost, when you buy Brussels sprouts, there's been a lot of questions about like how do you chop them. You don't need to take out the outer leaves unless they look a little bit brown and yucky. But for the most part, I like to leave the roots together. So I just take a Brussels sprout, and I want you to cut it in half, and then set it down and cut it in half again. Cool? So it's in half again. And that's simply it. So I want everyone to start doing that. Brussels sprouts, to me, I don't know if anyone else feels like this, totally says Thanksgiving. I don't think it did growing up. I don't think Brussels sprouts were a thing like 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Now they're like cool. It's like kale. It's like Brussels sprouts, right? Like we all get them at like restaurants. But I do think Brussels sprouts can be made really crispy and really delicious, where even people who don't like vegetables kind of dig them. But I'm curious, does anyone else have Brussels sprouts on their menu typically or not really? All the time? Good. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I know green bean casserole was a thing at one point, which we're doing a really cool version at home made it with. But that's kind of like become like old school, the green bean casserole. I think Brussels sprouts are kind of the thing now. I love peas. Those are always a classic. But these Brussels sprouts have fish sauce in them. Now, is anyone stationed or has anyone been stationed in Southeast Asia? Curious. You were? I didn't know that, Liz.
Where I met my husband.
Wow. Yeah, you've been all over. So you're probably familiar with fish sauce. And when I say, okay, fish sauce is going to be on the menu for Thanksgiving, this is where my family is like, Joel, stop. Stop, baby. Too far. Fish sauce is a magical ingredient, and when I describe what it is, you can find it at a lot of grocery stores now. In fact, like Kroger has it, Target has it, like it's a very normal thing. But when you smell it, it smells horrific. Like the worst smell on the it smells like socks. Am I wrong, Nicole? Do you smell it? It's the worst smell out there. But when you pair it with other flavors, it is so intoxicating good. It's kind of like the soy sauce for Thai, Vietnam, that type of thing. So it's salty, it's funky, and it gives these Brussels sprouts a vibe that no one can really put their fingers on. And they're always like, what is that? Why is that so good? Fish sauce. Cool. So what I want to do, I think I have enough Brussels sprouts here. I've got a good couple of handfuls. I want to turn our pan that had the turkey in it high heat. So I'm going to go 10 out of 10. All right? So go as high as your pan can go. And I want to add just another tablespoon or two of olive oil. And I want to just let that get up to temperature. I want it almost smoking hot. Cool? And there's really only two ingredients to these Brussels sprouts. The Brussels sprouts and the fish sauce. Okay, fine, and the olive oil. We'll go with the olive oil too. Okay, fine, salt and pepper. Fine. That's it. That's it. But what's really cool about this is you can add a little honey to these Brussels sprouts. You can add a little bit of brown sugar, and it balances out the fish sauce really nicely. So totally up to you. But if you can find fish sauce, grab it. If not, you can do this with soy sauce too. Either one will work with this recipe, but the fish sauce really adds a little something, something. Has anyone ever cooked with fish sauce before? Is everyone comfortable-ish with it? No? Okay, some people. Shayna for sure. Laura for sure. Okay. Okay, cool. We got some cooks in here. Yeah, you know some crazy cooks when they're used to fish sauce. That's for sure. All right, so a lot of recipes with Brussels sprouts ask you to cook these first. Pain in the butt. Don't do them. Don't do them. Just saute them up. No need to steam these or blanch these or anything like that. Cut them like I just did. And then when your pan is high enough in heat, which we're getting really good, I start with like a handful. And I want to hear that sizzle. And I hear it. And I'm going to go with the rest of them. And again, kind of like our sweet potatoes, I don't want to overcrowd the pan. So enough where there's like one layer of Brussels sprouts and all the Brussels sprouts have a little spot to kind of touch the bottom of the pan. That's how they get crispy. Brussels sprouts suck unless they're crispy. Sorry. That's just the reality. Cool? All right, so they're getting crispy. I say this usually to guys, and I know a lot of them on our USO spouse calls. Sometimes we get some guys, but for the most part, it's females, so you guys don't need to hear this. But guys tend to, like, play with the Brussels sprouts and, like, move it around a lot. Like, we fidget. It's like a button for us. Females, you guys are so much better about being patient. And if you want crispy, crispy, crispy Brussels sprouts, you don't want to really move them. You kind of want to, like, put them in the pan, go check your email, or, you know, go watch a show real quick, or clean up something, get away from it, right? And then when you come back in a couple of minutes, it's gotten really crispy, blistered, beautiful skin. And that's what we're really after. See, I'm shaking it. I'm a guy. I can't do it. Can't even look at it. All right. So while these are cooking, we had some questions, and I really want to get them answered. So first and foremost, best advice for accommodating picky eaters. That is such a good question. Oh, my gosh. So I say, first and foremost, keep your menu extremely simple. Like I said, I have a family of picky eaters. So try not to overdo it and not make something that is so like niche for one person. So like make a really basic mashed potato. And some people might like it more chunky, and some people might like it smooth. So find a middle ground, right? Make it a little bit smooth and chunky. But the reality is if you try and do like a crazy mashed potato, like even trying to get fancy, like brown butter with tons of herbs, that's where you start to lose people. So keep your menu really, really simple. Do not start accommodating for everyone. You will go crazy. So again, choose 3 or 4 dishes. You don't need to have 15 dishes on the table. 3 or 4 dishes that you nail, that you do really good, and those picky eaters will be very happy. By the way, this is a great time to flip our Brussels sprouts. Oh yeah, and they're starting to get some color. These look great. So I'm just kind of tossing the Brussels sprouts. You can just use tongs if you want and just move them around. I'm curious, I'm sure you guys have families with picky eaters. Is there anything that anyone like has kids or a spouse that they don't eat anything and how you love it and you can ask a chef right now, how could you make it where they might be into it? So is there anything that your family doesn't eat that I can try and help combat for you guys? No? Okay. Oh, a main entree for vegans. Ooh! Don't you dare go for tofurkey. That stuff is hardcore gross. Don't do it. So I love using mushrooms as a main course, specifically portobello mushrooms. They almost taste steaky and chewy and meaty. They're the big portobello mushrooms. They're like literally huge. You can roast those with the same herb topping that you put on your turkey. So again, keeping it simple, not making it huge changes for people. Just paint down that herb topping on the mushrooms, roast them. People will be so smitten and happy. So roasted portobello mushrooms is a good vegan option. Don't go tofu. Woo! What else? What's lentil what? Oh, Heather said a lentil shepherd's pie. I would eat that. I would eat that. That sounds great. All right, next question that came from you guys. How to get a juicy turkey? I think, A, cooking it in parts. So if you do want to have breast and thighs, go to your grocery store, and I'm telling you, no one does this. Buy the turkey and have them separated out. You want the skin on, but you want the thighs and the breasts off the bones. And roast those, cook those the way that we're doing those today. Sear them, put a little bit of that on top. You're going to have a much juicier bird. If you want to roast the whole bird and have that moment where you're coming to the table and you want to carve and all that, choose a recipe where the degrees in the oven is below 325. And I'll tell you why. When you roast something really, really at a low temperature, it stays juicier. It might not get as crispy, but it stays incredibly juicy. And so try and find a recipe where it's a low and slow rather than a high crispy recipe, which everyone goes after. And that's how you get a really juicy bird. It's a good question. All right, favorite holiday drink? Well, good question. I'm going to reverse that to you guys. What's your favorite We all need drinks during this time of year. So what is your favorite go-to?
I'm gonna have to go with Glühwein. So my friends in Germany or anybody that's been to Germany will know what that is. You know what that is, Chef?
I don't. What is it?
It's a spiced wine. I actually have some.
What?
But it's like a spiced mulled wine. It's called Glühwein.
And so it's like infused with like spices, like I'm assuming like allspice, nutmeg, things like cinnamon.
Yes, all of those.
Oh, that's
And you
so
just put
cool.
it up and you drink it, and it's fabulous.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Yeah, and someone said mulled wine, and hot toddies. Oh, Trish. Yeah, and Shanna, yes. Oh my gosh. French 75, gin, champagne, lemon juice, and sugar. Game over. Game over. What else? I'm curious. I love hearing this from people. What are your favorite?
Drink Lambrusco at Thanksgiving.
Ooh.
Like a sparkling red. That's been our family's thing forever.
I love that. I'm a big gin and tonic fan. This time of year, citrus, people don't realize this, but like lemons and oranges and all those things are really happening around the world, literally. Like you can find the best citrus this time of year. That's why everyone equates like oranges with Christmas. If you can find blood oranges, you can make a blood orange cocktail like blood orange martinis, blood orange gin and tonics, and people go crazy over that just by switching out the citrus from like a lime to a blood orange. So those are kind of our family go-tos. I love a Negroni, but I know that's not everyone's fave. Cool. Real quick, back to the cooking. Check out our Brussels sprouts. So getting really nice, brown, crispy on the outside. I'm not moving them too much, just kind of letting them get that gorgeous crust. I haven't added any of the fish sauce yet. That's going to happen at the end. We're just looking to get that crust. And at this time, you can add some black pepper, but don't add salt because the fish sauce is actually really salty. So we can only add salt if we need to at the end. Beautiful. Oh, these are getting there. All right, we're getting really close to serving this thing up. Couple more questions I want to hit up. My favorite appetizer to take to a party. That's a good question. All right. This is the move. You ready? Hand pies. This is the move. You got to hear me out. Mini little pies, and you can fill it with like Gruyere cheese, pear, brie. You can fill it with savory caramelized onions, goat cheese, things like that, whatever you have. And you bake them ahead of time at your house, these little baby pies. And you bring them over. They carry so well, and people go nuts. You can reheat them at whoever's house you're bringing them over to, or right before your guests show up. And they're just like, they fit in your hand, they're flaky, they're buttery, and they just like burst in your mouth, and they get everyone really excited for the meal. So the little mini hand pies are my go-to. Again, I want to turn it over to the USO spouses and fams. What are your go-to appetizers? Do you have a spread that you like to serve? Anyone into the cheese plate thing? We're doing an amazing cheese plate class. If anyone, it's totally free here at Homemade. I think it's coming up in November 30th. Oh, so it's after Thanksgiving. Bummer, but it will be good for Christmas. But I'm curious, what other apps do you guys like to serve?
I just found a recipe online recently for a baked brie. And on top you do chopped up apples and bacon. Oh my gosh, and you bake it all together and it's
Yes, yes, all of that, yes. What else? That sounds amazing. Deviled eggs. I like that idea. Okay, Kiana, I love that. What else? Sweet potato stuffed with, sweet peppers stuffed with cream cheese. Always amazing. So funny, when I had our second kid about 8-9 months ago, I got sent this app that was jalapenos stuffed with cream cheese and brisket wrapped in bacon. I'm like, who's trying to kill me? They were the most insane thing I've ever had in my life. I love stuffed peppers and things like that. That's great. All right. So at this point, you guys, I want everyone to look at your Brussels sprouts. If they look charred, if they look caramelized like mine do, you're in good shape. And I want you to take one out, and I want you to just try it. It's going to be a little hot, so blow on it, but it should be soft. A little bit of a bite. There's no salt on this yet, so it shouldn't taste great. But what we're going to do now is we're going to literally add in about 2 tablespoons of fish sauce. And this is going to be the salt to these. So keep it on a high heat and add the fish sauce and just kind of mix those through. And it's going to smell funky and crazy. But you got to trust me on this one, okay? And at this point, once the fish sauce is in and your house smells like fish sauce, turn off the heat. All right?
Is that normal? Do you get afraid of the smoke? Do you turn it off now?
Now, well, are your Brussels sprouts charred, Liz?
Oh yeah.
Turn it off. We're good to go. Yeah. Oh, these are great. Now, again, you could do a little bit of honey, a little bit of brown sugar if you want it. But I think these are great just as is. But if they're a little bit too funky, that's what you add. Just like a teaspoon of honey, and they really sing. So my heat is off at this point. These are cooked through. Look how gorgeous these look. I'm just going to show you guys. Look at those. Those not stunning? Charred, crispy, stunning Brussels sprouts. You can mix peas into this, cauliflower, mushrooms. You could add a little cheese over the top, like some Gruyere, some Parmesan. Do that at the very end, but I like them just like this. So those are good to go. Let's check our situation in the oven here. Smells out of control good. And the turkey is cooked through, I can already tell. But I'm just going to show you guys what those potatoes look like. And by the way, it's 9:45, so we've got about 15 minutes to finish this off. I think we're going to crush it. What I want you guys to do is take a knife and stab these potatoes and make sure that they're soft, which mine are. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the turkey off the potatoes, just to the side. Cool. Do we have a potato masher that I don't? Is it behind me? Where are we at? Oh, we're getting one. If you don't have a potato masher, you can use a fork. But that is something I forgot to grab. Ah, thank you. All right, so I want you guys to kind of see what's happening here. Turkey is just resting on my board. hanging out, doing its thing. Brussels sprouts are off the heat. And now I've got my potato situation, which are soft, steamed, beautiful. And I'm going to take my potato masher and right in the pan, I'm going to mash these potatoes. Whoops. There we go. Oh, these smell ungodly. And so many mashed potatoes is loaded with cream and butter, which is not a bad thing. Trust me, I love cream and butter. But these potatoes are simple. They're a little different. They've got that garlic. They've got that chili flake. They're really soft and steamed because of the turkey fat, which makes them really unctuous and delicious. And I'm just kind of busting up all the little pieces here. And I love doing this in a little pan because it's just easier. You don't have as much like to actually clean. I mean, look how like clean my surfaces. This has been really, really a nice, simple Thanksgiving as opposed to blowing up the kitchen. This looks great. All right, these look amazing. So at this point, these look nice and mashed. I'm just going to give them a quick taste. So grab a little spoonful. You should get a little maple. You should get a little garlic, a little chili. It's honestly, when you do it like this, it's unlike any mashed potato you've ever had. And again, you don't need to do sweet potatoes if that's not your thing. But I think these sweet potatoes rock. So at this point, I'm just kind of mixing it up with a spoon. And we are in really good shape. It's sweet, it's spicy. You get the garlic, it's super savory. It just hits your mouth on all accounts. Look at that. That looks so good. All right. So, 2 elements done for our Thanksgiving in an hour. Brussels sprouts done. We got our beautiful mashed sweet potatoes done. Last but not least is we got to carve the turkey. And because we took it off the bone, it cooked super fast, but it also allows it to be really easy to carve. And normally I'd let this rest for maybe another 5 minutes, but since I got you guys here, let's get to it. So I'm going to take this turkey, and I just want you guys to kind of see what we're looking at here. You can kind of just cut into nice, just like you would with a big turkey, nice slices, just like that. And I'll show you guys what it looks like on the inside. Totally cooked, beautifully juicy. Juices run clear, crispy skin. Oh! That is Thanksgiving in a bite. So I'm just going to slice up this next one. This looks so good. All right. This is really coming together fast. I'm going to do one more, I guess. My team here will eat the heck out of this. This looks so yummy. All right. So turkey is chopped. This is how I kind of plate this puppy up like a classic Thanksgiving. So what I like to do, totally up to you, is I grab a little bit of our mashed potatoes, and I put a little dollop there, and I press down on that, right? And I grab a little bit of these chopped walnuts, totally up to you. Kind of sprinkle those through. It adds a little bit of nice texture. You can add a little bit of olive oil or honey over the top or more maple. But there's your Brussels. I'm sorry, there's your mashed sweet potatoes. Then I'm going to grab our turkey, which looks stunning, and kind of just load that up right next to the mashed sweet potatoes. Nice big pile there. Then you grab your Brussels sprouts, which are funky from the fish sauce, salty, so different. Nice pile right next to everything else. And I don't know, you guys. I mean, Liz said we had 55 minutes. I've got 9 minutes to spare, and I'm showing you guys Thanksgiving. Yeah! Look at Liz's! Look how great this looks. I mean, this is one of those things where, Liz, you crushed yours.
It smells so good, and the turkey is so juicy. I actually used chicken breast, that's all I could find yesterday.
Yeah.
It's so juicy. Like, I cut it on this cutting board, and it's amazing.
Yeah, the juices just run out. It's because the skin is on. I mean, and chicken's a great solve. If you can't find turkey, that's great. But I mean, look at this plate. And again, that took us like 45 minutes. Literally, it took us like 45 minutes. And that, I mean, no one's not going to say that's not Thanksgiving. That is Thanksgiving done right, done a little different. Oh, all right. I'm just going to try everything because that's my job. All right. So I'm going to grab a little fork, grab a little bit of potato, grab a little turkey. There's something with mashed sweet potato because it's sweet that plays so good with the turkey, right? We put cranberry sauce on the turkey because that's sweet, but they just work together. And then you grab this funky, salty, umami Brussels sprout. And this is just a plate to be proud of. I mean, this is a Thanksgiving anyone would repeat and repeat and repeat. And again, no matter where you're stationed or what ingredients you have access to, you can rock this out and it would be absolutely delicious. So we have the recipe for you guys. We'll have the recording. So if you want to make this in the next couple of weeks for Thanksgiving, or heck, just for a normal evening meal, I mean, it's like that good, you'll be good to go. But any last minute questions about how to make this, if you want to replace, maybe you don't like Brussels sprouts, anything at all. Oh, this just tastes like a hug.
This is dinner tonight, Chef Joel.
Yes!
This is dinner tonight.
Heck yeah, it is. Heck yeah. Well, you guys have, oh yeah, question.
I was going to say, can you make any of this ahead of time? Does it reheat well? Any tips for that if we want to prepare it ahead of time?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you could do the sweet potatoes ahead of time and the Brussels sprouts ahead of time and then just reheat them. The turkey is something I would try and time out. Otherwise, it can get a little dry just because it's so lean. But everything else you can be made ahead of time. Absolutely. But I think if you guys follow the step-by-step and go in the order that we did, right? We started with the turkey, we went to the potatoes, then finished with the Brussels sprouts, you'll be golden, right? And Liz, she just did it with me. She got hers done. So it's not just a chef who's doing it in an hour. You guys can rock it out too. So I want to thank you guys, as always. It is so special for me to be able to cook with you guys no matter where you're stationed. Always feel free to reach out if you have last-minute questions or thoughts. But Liz, Nicole, thank you as always for having me. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Miss Liz.
Thank you so much, Chef Joel. And like you said, the recording of this will be up on uso.org/MVP, as in like military virtual programming, within the next few days. You can also look for it on USO Military Spouse Facebook group, where we post a lot of things, upcoming events, and recordings of all those virtual programs. We want to thank you all so much for joining us today, for learning how to prep a Friendsgiving in under an hour. We can officially say under an hour. 50 minutes, Chef Joel. Virtual high five. We appreciate you all coming together around the world today. We look forward to seeing what you've created. So if you want to share pictures with us, again, find us on the USO Military Spouse Facebook group. We'll put up a post about this. In the comments, you can share your pictures. Tell us what you made. Tell us how it went. Again, Chef Joel, one more question for you. If they
Yes.
want to follow what you're doing, how can they find you on social media?
Yeah, you can go to my actual handle, which is at Joel Gamron, so at my name, or go to With Homemade, WITH homemade.com. You can see all of our upcoming classes. There's a lot of other chefs besides me, and they're all totally free. So we'd love to get back into the kitchen with you no matter where you are. They're virtual. So, yeah, we'd love to see you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Look for us again in 2022. In the new year after the holidays, we're going to be back with Chef Joel for a lot more fun. We look forward to seeing all of you, connecting with all of you wherever you are. From our kitchen to yours, thanks so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.
Mwah! Bye, everybody.